Huh. Actually, I think I'll go ahead and talk with this guy first. Oh. Anyways, how did you do that? Yeah, how did you do that? Well, Verse looks at you with a quizzical expression. Do what? Back in the Archon's war tent, you cast an edict as casually as reading a supply shipment. How did you do that? I've done it before. Don't I look stupid? You were the one who cast the Edict of Storms on Stalwart, didn't you? The one that tore the battlefield apart. With a cyclone of Kyros's anger. That was me. Well, call me impressed, considering that you've read the words of Kyros more than once. I'm surprised that you were even alive to tell of it. Your vocal cords should have turned to ash by now. Really? Ooh. I don't particularly like the sound of that. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. It's just worth recognizing that you've done. Recognizing what you've done. Not only are you Tunon's fate binder, you're the mouthpiece of the Overlord. Gives me plenty of reason to stick around. You're going places, and I want to see where they lead. If you say so, I have some questions about you.
What do you need?
Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, if you insist. I'm a Scarlet Fury. That should raise some flags for you. It means that I'm good at killing, and more importantly, that I enjoy it.
Who's this voice?
What I won't enjoy are the pleasures of funerary rites packed with weeping mourners. Someday I'll fall in battle, and then they'll roll me into a mass grave or heap me atop a shit-stained wagon. One more anonymous, knife-riddled piece of meat.
Huh. Wonder who voices this. What voices her?
Until then, I plan to take whatever I can from life and have a little fun along the way.
Tell me about your life before the course. Life? What life? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't exist before the course. There was some girl on a farm wearing my face and talking with my voice, but she wasn't me. And sometimes she would sneak out at night, take a scythe, and have some fun with the livestock. Oh. Okay. Our shared interests began and ended there. When the Scarlet Chorus swept through my village on their long trek from the Bastard City, that was when I finally woke up. I buried my old life, took red vengeance on anyone who'd wronged me, and found the freedom I could only dream was out there. What of your parents? My mother ran a successful farm, and I worked it for a number of years before I found the chorus. She was a hard, bitter woman, acted like the world owed her something. Well, she never talked about my father, though. I figured out a thing or two about him later on. He was a merchant from the Northern Empire who took a liking to her, and she him. He stayed around only long enough to get what he wanted. But never mind him, my mother never had what you would call taste, so he couldn't have been terribly influential to he did stick around. Did you ever wish you could do things over and end up somewhere other than Kyros's army? That's as naive a question as I've ever heard. Kyros is everywhere. If you aren't in the Overlord's army, you're being trampled by it. Of course, I have labored on the family farm in my maturing years. Married some dolt. Of course, I could have. Okay. I could have labored on the family farm into my maturing years, married some dolt and littered him a nursery of squealing piglets. Having my body torn to pieces by smaller versions of me sounds like fun. Then one day, when I decided enough was enough, I'd slit my husband's throat over a breakfast and run off to join the chorus anyway. My way saved a lot of time. I mean, you're a killer. Better stick to the chorus. You gain loyalty. All right. At least you understand the chorus praises and rewards the thing inside me that I would have suppressed in civilized company. Life is too short to repress every desire, right? Especially if I ever have anything to say about. How did you get conscripted? How did I think you have the wrong idea about me. The chorus didn't take me as a sobbing maid. I strode into their camp and enlisted. Someone tossed me a dented blade. I've lived through initiation, spent a week butchering my neighbors, and moved on with my new kin. I didn't waste time with goodbyes. My mother had long since died, and the rest of my family were houses. The girl I used to be, even she knew that she was worth more than all of them combined. What is the significance of your feathers? Ooh. We're getting awfully chummy, so I guess you deserve a story. My mother kept a messenger bird, Witterbeak. He was an angry old bastard, spoiled from living the life. Squawked at my window every single night, pecked my fingers while I fed him only the fattest, juiciest mice. When I left the farm to join the Scarlet Courses, I wrung that ungrateful little effer like a dish rag, plucked his feathers, and gave his carcass to the mice. It felt like justice. She slides a crimson feather from her hair and spins it in her fingers. I just like how the feathers catch the breeze. Helps me keep my balance, especially when I'm moving fast. All right, enough questions about your past. Tell me about your time with the Scarlet Chorus.
The Scarlet Chorus is mostly for madmen and peasants with rusty daggers, but it's also a little niche of freedom that I never had. Once I survived training and met my Scarlet Fury sisters, I saw a different side of the howling mob.
Tell me about your training.
For new recruits shoved to the front lines, training means surviving the first battle. Anything beyond that is for the fighters who show potential, whether as blade dancers or arcane madmen. There's nothing in the world like getting put through the paces as a Scarlet Fury. Every day is a test of your commitment and passion. Failure means death. The first few weeks were the hardest, but also the most rewarding. I earned my name, picked up some quality weapons, and met my sisters.
Tell me about the Furies.
The elite fighters of the Scarlet Chorus. Your
I'm glad
typical
there's
Horde
actually voice
recruit
acting in
fights
this.
with a rusty spoon and a chip on his shoulder, but the Scarlet Furies are, well, different. We focus our madness. We coordinate, we kill, we dance. It's like art. Imagine a sculpture that twisted in weird, beautiful angles, and then gutted you too fast for you to realize what was happening.
That was wonderful.
It is, as I remind myself all the time. The most important day of my life was when the voices of Nerat recognized my potential and sent me to Scarlet Fury training.
You earned your name? If you think a simple farmer from the Tears would name her child Verse, I suggest you visit my old village. Most of them were walking around with surnames like Barrel or Fish. Not the most creative bunch. The chorus takes your name away. Whoever you were before, you aren't that person anymore. Then you earned back a name through the great deeds, usually murderous ones. That's why you see choirmen walking around with names like Stink Mouse or Face First. There's probably a good reason for it. The voices of Nearad gave me this name. When the Scarlet Chorus runs howling into battle, he doesn't hear war, he hears a symphony, and when I fight with a blade or bow, he told me that my music stands out louder than anyone else's, and contains too many parts to be easily defined. When you least suspect it, the Archon's secrets can be downright charming. What's your real name? That question isn't worthy of either of us, but I'll entertain you at a pit. And you already know me by my real name. It's Verse. Are you looking for whatever arbitrary collection of letters and sounds my mother thought was appropriate when she didn't even know me? Then you're out of luck. I buried that name long ago. Long by my standards, anyways. Tell me about your weapon skills. When I was just a kid, it didn't take me long to realize I was a natural. I could pick up a rusty kitchen knife and skewer a rat from across the room. Wow. The Scarlet Chorus gave me opportunities to further educate myself. My sisters were always a bit surprised by how quickly I took to different fighting styles.
What do you need to know?
Before, you hesitated when you brought up your fighting styles. Why? Verse loyalty too. Notice that, did you? It's a matter that I'm not used to discussing, mostly because I don't know how. I mentioned before that I'm good at picking up different weapons and fighting techniques. The truth is, I'm better than good. I could play a man so cleanly that I leave a single strip of skin behind. He wouldn't even notice to be tied down. Need to be tied down. That was one of the first things I discovered about myself after joining the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nearette recognized it in me as well, which is why he singled me out for Scarlet Fury training. My sisters were the masters of their fighting forms, but since they died, my style has changed, almost like I can kill as they did. I could pick up a bow, a lance, anything really. I could tear someone to pieces with a weapon that I only watched my sisters use. I don't know what could mean, and that worries me. Who are your sisters? Who were they? Would be a more appropriate. 3 Whispers, Red Geyser, and Seeking Sheath. Best fighters I ever met. There wasn't a foe who couldn't take down we couldn't take down together. Our fighting styles complemented it perfectly. So we divided up the killing work like bards sharing a song. At least we used to. Oh, so they're gone. She was a calm 3 Whispers. She was as calm as the surface of a pond, a light on her feet. And light on her feet. More than one foe tripped and fell on their own blade due to Whisper's crafty footwork. It lets her gaze slip away from you as a fleeting moment of sorrow steals her attention. Red Geyser. A one-woman siege breaker, she would launch herself at her foes like a battering ram. Not even a disfavored phalanx would even withstood that dumb, suicidal wench. Kairos' eyes, but she was something to behold. Seeking Sheath. The girl could pass a spear through 12 rings. Wow, through 12 rings from that far side of the battlefield. That's pretty good. Kairos helped any foes who approached her marching single file. She made a game of spitting as many soldiers as possible on the same javelin. What happened to him? We were scouting around Vengeance well during the siege. Back when we only suspected the guard of organizing in secret, my sisters and I came upon a group of them, or Kairos knows. Maybe they found us. No one said anything. We drew our iron and bronze. That was when everything went wrong. I was supposed to take point on and occupy the guard with a dance of blade work, something disorienting while my sisters picked their marks. I hesitated. I lost my nerve. Instead of rushing the Oathbreakers, I froze with my weapon drawn. Oh. My sisters fought on without me, but they were off balance. Like whatever I had was catching. They died, I lived. My sisters were relying on me to lead the dance, and I failed them. Ooh. Understandable. Caution, stayed your hand. To save your caution for the disfavored. If we showed caution, could we have taken this, the bastard city or the gates of judgment? Could we have conquered the tears with anything less than our blood boiling over with rage? The song of battle ripped from our lungs? Hesitation is a rot. It's unbecoming of any chorus member, and unheard of in a Scarlet Fury. I will cut it from my body and cauterize the wound if only I knew its source. Ooh. Whoops. Do 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 do. Oh no! Misclicked. Though.
What do you need? Have you... What? Until
Do,
then?
do, do, do.
The Scarlet Chorus is for new... There's nothing in the world like the elite. We focus our madness. It is. As I...
Do, 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 do. I'm not gonna... I'll ask it, even though...
What do you need to know?
Do. And boop. Okay, you're absolutely right. If I had witnessed the same in one of my sisters, I might have even killed her for endangering the rest of us. Any idea why you lost your nerve in battle? I wish I had an explanation. For the first time, I lost the dance. The song of murder drew silent. Instead, there was only rigid, organized control.
What do you need to know?
Who are the Scarlet Chorus leaders? Well, the voices of Nereid is the spider at the center of the web. He acts like the army belongs to him, and he only lends it to Kairos because it suits his purposes, both of which are true. Now, the rest are all offshoots of the voices. Like the fifth eye, once you get down to the rank and file, the Scarlet Chorus organizes around a motley bunch of gang bosses who call the shots. What do you want to know? Tell me about the voices. He's a madman, but that never stopped me from following his orders. Even a legion is cutthroat as the chorus. You know better than to get on the voice's bad side. People who cross him, or just people who he meets, don't tend to survive the experience. If he ever seems disorganized or lost, it's because he's channeling one of the personalities he's devoured over the years. His mannerisms shift over to someone else, someone who's probably long since dead. I'm better to die than become part of the voices. What makes the voices so powerful? He's the Archon of Secrets, and he didn't earn that title lightly. People say that he knows more than every sage and the tiers combined, and that he can think 1,000 steps ahead of the other Archons. It would be putting it lightly to say he's never alone under the disappointing helmet of his. If you make secrets your business, I guess having people constantly whisper in your ear is a good thing. I usually want people to shut up, but to each their own. Tell me about the fifth eye. A walking nightmare, that one. I couldn't begin to guess who lives under that armor and speaks with that reedy voice, but I'll tell you what I know. When your world is built on secrets, it pays to have a few extra eyes. The voice of Nereid has eyes in abundance. There's some that he keeps close and others that he sends out into the wilderness. Whoever the fifth eye was before he came into the Archon's service, now he's just a half-mad, jabbering speech hole. A bodily function, in other words, an eye. Wait. Nereid's eyes are people? Maybe they used to be people. Whatever they were, their eyes now. Folks like to whisper that the voice of Nereid takes his servants and cuts out all their extra parts that they don't need. Ugh. Ugh. I once shredded the voices of the fifth eye in a tent together. The voices kept screaming redundancies. Every time another gout of blood would spray on the canvas walls. I can't even guess what he was cutting out. How many eyes does he have? The number keeps changing, either because it grows or because rumors don't mean shit. 3, 7, 19, and some even say that all of us are eyes and we don't even know it. It's one of those questions that drives you mad if you allow yourself to think about it for too long. Hey, you could be one of Tunan's eyes. But you never thought of that. Back to my other questions. Tell me about the gang bosses. A boss is anyone who can rally enough support to kill the previous boss. They cling to command until they become someone wise gets wise and stabs him in the back. Tipcat leads the filthy lambs. Locks leads the rusty harps. Sharp used to lead the bone boys. Couldn't say where he ended up after they broke his legs. Ooh. Waterwheel orders around the hairy hunters. Halls for shite leads the lazy Malkins. Then Scurvy Queen, Fingerfood, and Wild Gash collectively lead the ladies of perpetual strangulation. That's a name. I'm forgetting at least a dozen more. I've even led a gang or two in my day. They never survive very long, so no point in getting attached. Ah, you led a gang? Don't act so surprised. I can crack a whip better than any of those daisies at the disfavored labor camps. But I was never that interested in the power struggle of those grunts and scabs in the middle. I wanted to stand on the top like an apex predator. Here I am. So when I got tired of a gang, I disbanded and let the others' bosses fight over the new recruits. That much amused me, at least. Well, some of my old mates are still alive, hanging around wherever they ended up.
What do you need to know?
I have thoughts about your combat ability.
Do you now? Call me intrigued. You already know that I memorized the moves of my Scarlet Fury sisters. If it seems like a total mystery to me, I don't know how you could have arrived at any conclusions, but I'm open to ideas.
Did you take their fighting moves, or the memory of their fighting moves? Remind you of anyone?
If you want to split hairs over it, you could argue that I took their instincts, their reactions, but I failed to see... Wait. Are you trying to compare me to the voices of Nerat? The voices of Nerat is a monster. We both know that Tyranus has never seen a creature more despicable than him. Never mind that he's kind of my boss.
I'm not comparing you to the voices, only this talent you exhibit.
My little talent that latches onto my friends and bleeds them dry, you mean? Because I never asked for it. I've traveled with the chorus for years. I've seen what the voices can do, and it scares me, all right? The idea that everything I am could be reduced to that. If I had that kind of power, if I could become like him, I don't know how I could live with myself. I'd rather drown myself in a camp latrine.
Why such an aversion?
Because the voices isn't... I mean, can you even call him human anymore? Everything I am has led me to this point. I joined the chorus, fought to survive, grew stronger than I ever knew I could be. I never needed to steal anything that made me, me. I don't want to be better by being someone else. The Voices is stronger than anyone and terrifying enough to lead the chorus, but he's also an overgrown parasite. And someday he'll stuff himself so full of voices that he'll burst.
You don't have to become like him, just be selective.
I'm sure he had the same idea when he got started. But you know what they say about power? It's usually wielded by assholes.
Yeah.
My sisters died. You should have seen us. We were amazing together. I didn't mean to take away what made them special, but I did it all the same. And let me tell you, it felt terrible. If I lived a century, I might never figure out how to make that happen again. And more importantly, I don't want to.
How's it they picked up your phone? We've already been over that. Been on my mind for some time, and I still don't have an explanation that fits. I have a few ideas, but... Scarlet Furies share a sort of link. It's how we coordinate our dance in the heat of battle. We don't pass messages or anything, but our emotions and intentions sync up without words. The one thing I always knew was that I felt this connection more keenly than my sisters did. I could pick up nuances that they missed, and I could feel them from farther away. When my sisters died, I felt each of them getting yanked out of my brain like someone pulling snails from a garden. But some of their slime residue was still there. Does that make any sense? I would take cover to that. Your sisters live on in you. Ugh. I'm not gonna redo all that because we actually went through a lot to get to here. Your optimism is cute. What are your thoughts on this favorite? Warren of self-entitled children so wound up in delusions of honor they're likely to hang themselves by their own high standards. I wish they had stayed in the Northern Empire where they belonged. Then we could get some real work done on the tiers. What do you think the later Graven Ashes? I've seen enough of that high-minded beggar to know that he's all duty, nothing but charismatic, broad-shouldered scarecrow. He calls himself the Archon of War, though by the way, he stalls his forces waiting for a better strategy to present itself. You would think he's afraid of battle. You would think that someone more deserving would take Ash's mantle from him. But the disfavored have this cult of personality built around their great general. In their eyes, you can do no wrong. What about Ash's connection to his troops? Brave Ash protects. His soldiers keep harping on those words like they mean something. I don't deny that the disfavored can take a few extra lumps on the battlefield, but that only speaks to their thick-headedness. If anything, it's only true because his soldiers place that much trust in it. I've seen the power of suggestion do stranger things to people. Could that be possible? We're talking about a man who's centuries old and wears glowing armor. You tell me. Who would you see take Ash's place? I would rather let the disfavored sort it out amongst themselves. Graven Ash is his aging figure of what should be a constantly changing role. The right soldier needs to grow a pair and kill the old man, kick his cane out from under him, remind the Legion what strength looks like. The voice is near, it changes. He's a multi-faceted gem. From the Scarlet Chorus is a reflection of that beauty. If someone could rise up and strike down that voices, any of us would follow them in a heartbeat. I suppose you would have a better idea? Of course I do. First, I'd stop babying the troops. Pain is a lesson best learned early. I'd conscript from the locals to bolster the front lines, because why waste your elite on the vanguard? Then I'd leave my misplaced ethics back in the Northern Empire. They're not helping Kairus' campaign anyway, so F them. Excellent. You would make them more like the Scarlet Courses. Would that be so wrong? The course is accountable for itself in ways that the disfavored aren't. Our weak die and the strong fight to keep their rank. The disfavored promote their waning bloodline and discipline any soldier with the audacity to show their teeth. Though they'd never admit it, the disfavored need the course to show them the way. Do you think the disfavored have any chance to success in the tiers? This is definitely a lot of talking. I'm sorry, Chad, if you're not, this isn't something you guys are completely interested in. Speaking as one of the exceptions, most of the tiersmen are pushovers. The people of Stalwart seem capable enough, though I have my doubts. You might call them the disfavored's best challenge. Even if they succeed, it might be too late to redeem themselves. The chorus have already impacted the conquest more than the disfavored have, or likely ever will. I mean, this is something that goes on with a lot of CRPGs. There's a lot of conversations, dialogues. What are your thoughts about their battle strategies? They've got something. They've really got something with that phalanx maneuver. A formation built on holding still, moving forward slowly, and hoping that no one slips in the mud. At best, the disfavored are tired of using the same tactic over and over again. At worst, the enemy knows what to expect out of them. The Scarlet Furies are dancers. We wear the music of battle and organize ourselves into works of killing art. Every fighter is a hot passionate as they last. and with no room for stale routine. What do you think of those who defy Kyros's authority? The Tearsmen can either fight or submit to Kyros's peace, and only one of those options captures my interest. I suppose I appreciate when they go down fighting if they did otherwise. I would need to find another excuse to flay them. They need to understand whether we unify the Tears under a shared banner or at the bottom of a mass grave makes little difference to you, me, or Kyros. That's an interesting view of the conquest. It's a pragmatic one anyway. The Scarlet Chorus caught onto the idea at the beginning of the campaign. If no one objects that we're here to carve a bloody path for gain and amusement, then by all accounts, that is our purpose. Besides, unification is such a vague concept that Kairos allows the disfavored and the Chorus to interpret it as they will. The Overlord is concerned with the results. I'm happy to focus on the details, especially if that means cutting off a farmer's legs while his family watches their land burn. No shame in taking pleasure in your work. No, there isn't, Fatebinder. I suspect that we're going to make something great together. A line of bodies stretching as far as the old walls. It's going to be beautiful. He looks at you with renewed interest. You fight any notable battles? I spent some time in Azur's toward the end of the war. Beastmen ripped my unit apart. We thought they might be working under Karen's orders, but we never found out for sure. Let's change the subject. You learned a thing or two about fighting the Scarlet's Chorus. Care to duel?
That would be an understatement, and I thought you'd never ask. Since you're obviously at a huge disadvantage, I'll let you pick our weapon of choice.
How about bows? Let's play target practice.
If you want to risk becoming a pincushion, it's your funeral. But you're right about one thing. This will be fun.
They're going to gain 5 bow skills free.
You held your own. Call me impressed. Need anything else, or did I tire you out?
I want to ask about our travels.
What did you have in mind?
What do you think of the present circumstances? Well, there's a needed hang over our heads. As far as I'm concerned, the incompetence of the disfavored got us into this mess, and will take the fury of the Scarlet Chorus to get us out of it. In other words, nothing ever changes.
Go ahead, Fatebinder.
We'll talk again